Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast brought to you by the Hot Take Hot Box, fresh off of UFC 298, the crowning achievement for Ilia Topuria. He is the new king of the featherweight division and the end of an era as Alexander Volkanovski is sent out. And it turns into a folding chair on the way out. And that is the end of one of the great eras of featherweight dominance that we've seen of all time, up there with Jose Aldo and all of the greats. But this is a day for celebration for my co-host, Mr. Ty Capone, who has been a staunch supporter of the Matador since we pretty much have started this podcast since he debuted, and he had plus 360 TKO this weekend. Ty goes plus 9.25 units on the day with one of the best days of all time, dating back to when we went crazy for the Islam and Oliveira card in Abu Dhabi. But this has to feel good there, Ty.
Yeah, man. Watching him since Brave CF, watching him make his debut against Yusuf Zalal, kind of struggle a little bit and just get better each fight. Dude, he even threw a little leg kick action. He got out leg kicked, but he even threw a couple that I think right away marked up Volkanovski's calf. And I was like, 100%. Damn, okay. Like, if we're doing that, if we're adding that to our game, anybody can be beaten, everybody will be beat, but it's hard to see who's gonna beat him, at least in the close future. Like, you look at the top 10, and I see a lot of people say Max Holloway. He's been an awkward test for sure. I think he's definitely a tough test for anybody in general. But what happens when he eats a right hand? Like Arnold Allen was testing his chin a little bit, and it's only a matter of time before it starts to go. And if Topuria hits anybody, dude, he's putting you down. Volkanovski said it himself after the fight. He was. I think they were both doing well. I think Volk probably won the first round. I think at the very end, the last minute, he really started to rally a little bit and just outstruck him.
Judges
really
had it as well.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised at first watching live, but watching it back, I wasn't. But that's kind of what Topuria wanted, dude. He was just trying to find his range. The feints were just absolutely working. The forward pressure, he commanded the center of the ring the entire time. He wasn't chasing. He was kind of cutting off the ring, and then he was just working that right hook, that right hand, that bomb that he was trying to get there, man. And he does such a good job of going, high, low, back high. And he does such a good job. If you notice, he kind of framed off him before he delivered the knockout shot. Kind of like moved a little bit to his right just to perfectly set up that right hand. It's crazy because his base is wrestling. His base is jiu-jitsu. He only just started to learn how to box and, watch Canelo to really become a dynamic boxer because he has that power. And at 27, man, what a win! What a scene! I mean, his family and everybody coming in after the fight. His brother lifting him up, carrying him across the cage right after the knockout. Volkanovski still not knowing what the fuck happened. I feel bad for him, obviously, but
it's part of the
game. What a
though,
moment,
man.
dude! It's so Conor McGregor like when he put Aldo out, right? And there's so many similarities, and people were pointing to the similarities. And then as soon as Topuria stole the belt at the press conference, everyone's like, "Oh, this is corny. He's trying too hard." And I was like, "Yeah." The press conferences have become very WWE like.
They don't really
right?
matter. They don't matter
for fuck.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter what they do. It matters what they do on stage. It matters what they do in the octagon, right? All that shit goes out the window. It's just something to draw up the attention, to draw. It's the last time you'll see them kind of like facing off and whatnot. And, you have all the clown media that are in attendance. So that's kind of what the purpose is.
Yeah.
But, McGregor stealing the belt from Aldo, it's just another similarity to when they arrived, the back tat, the chest tat, and the record, the age. And, his Instagram follower, he almost has more Instagram followers than Max Holloway, who's, in the gaming community and this and that, been around for 10, 15 years. So, he had all of the Spanish athletes, Sergio Ramos, Alcaraz, Nadal, everybody was watching. Everybody was congratulating him. Everybody was tuned in. And I think we have a huge star on our hands. I'm not just saying that, because I am a huge fan of Ilia, but seeing how he is still making improvements in his game is crazy, man. Like now he's at the top. This is kind of where it gets hard because maintaining that top spot with all these guys, all these killers. He already has kind of like this rivalry with Yair Rodriguez, which I don't fully understand. I think Yair is just, whatever, but he has to get through Ortega first. And then after that could set up a nice Mexico versus Spain, even though Ilia is Georgian, but it could set that up to be a big, nice little storyline. And obviously he's going to call out Conor. He's going to call out whoever and whatnot. Yeah. But I do like how he talks. It's kind of crazy the difference in how he's perceived when he speaks English compared to when he speaks Spanish. When he speaks Spanish, he sounds like ferocity and just dangerous. And especially the way he said it. It's just very different. But either way, it could go on all day. What a knockout! What a fight! What a way to set up that shot that he was looking for. And dude, it happened so quick. It just happened so quick.
Yeah.
That the commentator's call wasn't amazing, but I think even they were like, "What the fuck?" Like it happened so quickly where Volk was kind of doing his thing, and then boom, dude. I will give all credit to Dean Thomas. Like a minute or two into the fight, he said, "Man, I don't really love how Volkanovski's backing up with his head up and backing towards the cage. He can't really go anywhere. He's kind of limiting his space, limiting what he can do." Going backwards, he said that right away, and it was 100% accurate because that's what did him in. He got knocked out on the cage, sitting sideways, like Paul Wall said, on the cage. Just brutal execution. I loved it. I was speechless. I didn't even know what to do or say.
Yeah, no, listen, it was one of them things where I looked up, I had my head down, looked up, and the man was sleeping. So I was like, "Wait, what happened?" Because like you said, it happened so. I was watching the fight the whole time, and I was like, I forget. Somebody said something. I turned, looked, and looked back, and it was like you said, the announcers didn't even really freak out. They just kind of were like, "Wait, what?" And they were flat,
crazy.
Landed them.
Sean O'Malley's face, was pretty much what my reaction was, and Sean O'Malley's always like he tries to play it cool, play it calm, right? Try to have that bravado, oh yeah, I want to put him out next. But even he had his mouth open. Jamal Hill was just sitting there, standing in awe. I believe it was Jamal Hill.
Yes.
And everybody in Fighter Row was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And that's how when you have all these fighters, literally killers, Gaethje, and I'd have to go watch the video again. Just all savages, and they're all just standing there, sitting there, looking at each other like, "Yo, what the fuck just happened?" That's how this kid's 27 years old.
Yeah,
that's how you have a fucking problem. He got his nose busted up. He got a couple leg kicks, kind of chipped him away. His nose and his eye were a little fucked up, but it didn't matter, man. It's a fight, and Volk's face probably didn't look that bruised up at all, but it didn't matter. He took the just absolute nuke.
Listen,
Oppenheimer right hand on that jaw.
I thought Volk looked good for good portions of this fight, So I was like, when the fight started, and like you said, there was some signs that things weren't him backing up. I never it's. We'll talk about it later, but it's exactly what I talked about in the Cejudo fight, that him backing up was going to be an issue because you cannot back up against a guy like Merab, but he kept backing up. He kept letting Ilia dictate what was happening inside the octagon, and he kept firing those leg kicks out on him. And we didn't really think that was going to be a huge factor, but it wound up kind of playing because you could tell the redness on the calf started to really add up. And not that it was going to debilitate him or whatever, but it was making Volk uncomfortable because you saw him switching stances back and forth, and that was when I started to be like, "Fuck, we might be in trouble here," because you knew he didn't really want to wrestle him or take him down, because Ilia's ground game is elite, and he was doing good when he was getting up against the fence, and he was doing the clinch, and he was landing some of those knees and things like that, but he just kind of instead of doing that, he wanted to just he recklessly threw a couple of them bombs to try to get him off of him on the fence, left his chin hanging out there, and it was just, that's the fight game though, man. You could look good for 24 minutes, and then you make one mistake, and that's the end of that. I mean, you talk to Chael Sonnen, who should have been the middleweight champion, one of the biggest upsets of all time, and he makes one mistake, and that's it. Nobody really cares, and that's how it goes, though. And Ilia deserves everything he's getting. He talked it, he willed it, he lived it, and he went out there and he took care of business. It's that simple. And for the sentimental part of me, it is sad to see Volkanovski go out like that, and it's sad to see the era end like that. But that's the fight game, and we it keeps moving, and now we have a new king of the featherweights, and now we have a wealth of new matchups that could possibly be, sprouted or grow from this. And you made mention of Holloway. Holloway's gonna that fight is in serious danger just because what Gaethje's gonna do to him might fucking delay that for a long time, and that's what I think is gonna happen. So I imagine the winner of Yair and Brian Ortega, which is gonna happen this upcoming weekend, that'll probably be the fight that they do. I would imagine sometime in the summer, if I was guessing right. And then apparently Topuria wants to go to Spain, so does Dana White. They could do, I think Volk does deserve a rematch. I just don't think it's going to be right away. I don't think he has to necessarily fight someone else to prove that he's worthy. I think he just needs to, let Topuria get a defense off, or just take some time off in general. I mean, if Topuria doesn't fight and he doesn't fight, that's fine. But I just think the Volk needs time off, and the man's been very active and has kept us afloat for many a year, and gave us all these different fights and moments, and just he deserves a little bit of time off and just get his mental health right, because there's obviously I don't want to speculate on that, but yeah, he talked about it himself. He did
talk about it, yeah, and I can't imagine getting knocked out twice in 4 months can do. I'm sure that's work.
It doesn't help. It didn't help the situation.
Better. Right. Yeah. It's definitely not going to help. So I can't imagine, who knows what's going to happen going forward. I mean, dude, he didn't even know what the fuck happened 5 minutes after the fact. Ilia's whole entire family coming in the cage, his smoke show of a wife, his brother that looks just like him, except he's, he looks Georgian and Ilia looks Spanish.
Yes.
But they look the same. It's crazy. It's the same shaped head. And I'm excited to see Alexander make his debut. I forget. I don't think he has a fight lined up yet, but he just got signed. I think he's 6 or 7-1. I think he's also a year older. So excited to see him make his debut. He fights a little bit like Ilia. Just, I don't think he's as good, but yeah, man. I think Alex for sure needs to take some time off. I think he probably should just move up. I don't know if I don't know what's left for him at 145. I mean, I guess the rematch, right? But I don't know if he really should fight him again. I just think he would get knocked the fuck out again. It's sad to say, but I think it would happen earlier, right? I mean, we've seen this happen before in multiple instances with an older fighter or the new guy coming on the scene, like when Figgy just absolutely brutalized Benavidez twice. I don't think we need to see this again, even though I understand giving the king his immediate rematch, right? It's only right, but I still would feel kind of bad seeing it happen again, because I think we would know what the outcome would be.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed. You never know, because Dana White kind of just does whatever he pleases and just makes shit up. He's talking about McGregor, talking about how much money he has, and that is infuriating me. By the way, the conversation around that he's trying to act like it has nothing to do with the fact that Conor only has 2 fights left on his deal, and he's just basically trying to ice him out until he's worth nothing. That's essentially what Dana White's trying to do. Oh, we've been great business partners, and he's got a lot of money. He's got to show me that he wants to fight. Bro, if that guy says he wants to fight, you sign him up and you make some money off of it. So, stop acting I don't know. The total side topic.
No, I feel it. You know how Dana is.
Yeah, no, it's... But I think if anyone's worthy and has done a lot to help the UFC, stepped in on short notice when he shouldn't have. We talked about it at the time. He should never have taken that Islam fight. It was not the right move, and it was a sad. I feel bad for Volk because of the way this has kind of gone down. But again, this is the fight game. That takes nothing away from what Ilia Topuria was able to accomplish on Saturday night, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. I would like him to, maybe point out that's the smart thing that O'Malley did was, maybe point somebody out that, I want to fight him next, even if it was Cheeto Vera and he had that kind of lined up and it's, not the number one guy ranked, but Topuria went on the press conference and basically said that nobody in the whole 45 division is worthy of fighting him, and then doesn't want to fight anyone at 55 either. Yeah, and I'm like, so are you just going to?
Honestly, looking at I feel you. I don't love that. I think Leon Edwards did the same thing. I think John Jones sometimes does that, right? Even Connor, but sometimes it's true. Like Max Holloway definitely deserves a chance to fight Topuria because it's a different look. It could be interesting. It could be very interesting because I think Max is so good. He's so well rounded. He's still in his physical prime. I do just worry about all that damage he's taken and the way he fights. Like, dude, I guess Max would have a much better game plan. Not a better game plan. I guess he'd be more suited to stay at range, use his kicks. But he likes boxing, Max does, and he might be a better boxer than Ilia. Honestly, I don't know if he is, but
there'd be a lot of dangerous exchanges in that fight, man.
He definitely doesn't hit as hard. And like I said earlier, Arnold Allen was catching him.
Yeah.
I just think that's a different animal that you're going to play with. Is Max going to implement a wrestling? That's the thing, dude. Are you going to try to out wrestle or out grapple Ilia Topuria?
No.
I fucking hope not, because he walked through Ryan Hall's leg lock games like it was nothing. He ragdolled Bryce Mitchell and arm triangled him when Joe Rogan was like, hey, you don't want to go to the ground with this guy. Ilia Topuria, you're making a mistake. And then he fucking almost put him to sleep. Like, this guy's no joke anywhere. In the clinch, I like what he was doing. Volk was throwing some good knees off the break, but Ilia, his body work, man, he loves going to the body, setting up to go up high. It's just so beautiful to watch. And it's just getting better and better. I wish he threw the jab more. That's my only complaint about his striking. I wish he jabbed more, but he does a good job closing distance. Dude, he has 4 bodies in the UFC. Think how crazy that. He's put 4 people out unconscious in the UFC. He's 7-0 in the UFC. Over half of his opponents have just went to sleep. And 3 of those 4 have went to sleep with their backs against the cage. Damon Jackson against the cage, Jai Herbert against the cage, and now Volkanovski on the cage.
Yeah.
So, when he's going forward, when he's pressing forward, he might be the most dangerous pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC, which is crazy to think about because, again, he's 27, he's new, he's young, and there's so many other killers. He's legit, man. He's the real deal.
They haven't updated the rankings yet, but I imagine he's going to be in the top 5 pound-for-pound now.
I believe he is. I thought they did.
There was that was like a MMA fighting or something like that. The UFC's official pound-for-pound rankings still are unupdated because he's not even in the top 15. So another interesting name to think about as a future opponent for Topuria is Aljo. I don't know, I think he would have his way with him, but I'm just saying that's another name that can be thrown out there too. Or I think the Ortega fight is intriguing. Again, at this point, I can't sit here and tell you that anybody's really going to give Topuria a problem, but there's got to be somebody out there that could give this guy a competitive fight because recently it hasn't really looked like that. Maybe we're going to have to get Jai Herbert to drop weight or something like that. And run it back. I don't know. But great win for Topuria. Capped out a great night of fights. And on the note of the jab, I guess he doesn't want to throw the jab because according to Joe Rogan, the leg kick, the calf kick is 90% more effective, which I saw people killing him for that, but I understand what he's trying to. The calf kick is very effective, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It's also very easy, not very easy, but it happens a lot where leg kicks get checked. And if you throw a leg kick and it gets checked right away, you might not throw anymore. The jab, if you miss the jab, you're still pumping that thing out. Very different, very, very different attacks. Also, stemming from different sports. So, I didn't think Joe Rogan had the best night, but I thought as a crew, they did pretty well. I'll say. I think Bisping, Rogan, and Anik are pretty. It's better than DC. I'll say that. Did you hear?
Yeah.
Did you hear the Bisping thing when he was off air?
Yes.
Oh, that was good. That was great. I think he'll probably get a pass for that. But
I mean, in MMA, it seems like he can't really. I mean, Chuck Buffalo got a pass, so
yeah, he got a he should.
And he said
he's
something
a
way
fucking
worse.
bum.
So
yeah, he stinks. But Bisping, I like. I like him. I think he's a silly dummy, but he's kind of like in that DC role where he's like, the former fighter who's just kind of dumb or kind of goofy or kind of just trying to be like that friend. but very unprofessional, which I don't mind because you have Anik there to just kind of keep them on track, and then Rogan. I just think Rogan's washed, dude. I feel like he always thinks something's in or somebody's hurt or something's going on. I'm like, bro, just wait, just let this develop, let it play out. You know what you're talking about more than I do. So why do you jump the gun?
I know he probably watches all the fights, but doesn't it seem like he rolls out of bed to do these, and he gets so super excited? It's like a guy you don't usually watch the fights, or who doesn't watch the fights, and then he shows up and he's like, oh, triangle. You're like, sitting there, you're like, no, like a couple of those Anthony Hernandez submissions before he got the actual one. He went under, he kept like going on the chin, and people in my house at the house are freaking out, and I'm like, I mean, that's painful, but I don't,
It could work, but this guy's a sicko. He's probably not going to tap until
a crazy Russian fuck. He ain't going to, you're going to have to put him out. And then when the final one's in, I went, all right, we're good. I started clapping people up. They're like, still looking at the screen. I'm like, dude, it's over. He's either going to sleep or he's fucking tapping out. And he went out tapping out. But, I agree. Rogan sometimes seems like he has some rough nights out there. How about Robert Whittaker? Took care of business. I was wrong about this. This was a good fight, though, Ty. I think Paulo Costa comported himself well and almost got, if that wheel kick would have landed with a little bit more time, we might be having a different conversation. But I thought it was 29-28. I saw Mike Bell had 30-27. That's, to me, is insane. I don't think you can. The first round was close, and I don't think you can give that first round to Whittaker, especially after he gets wheel kicked in the fucking face. But, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. Whittaker won the fight. He was... used his length, used his speed. He's not as fast as he used to be, but he's still. I guess the talks for me and of his demise were premature. So I would like to apologize to the Reaper. He still is not done yet. He's not completely the guy he used to be, obviously, but that's how sports and fighting and athletics are. You're not always going to be the same guy, but he still found a way to get it done, and who knows what they'll do with him next.
Yeah, and Paulo probably could have won this fight if he didn't fight almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
third round, you can tell. Killing him. Yeah, the inactivity's killing him. Also, I just truthfully don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that well-rounded. I don't think he's that skilled, that advanced. I think he's just a physical freak. I think he's kind of smart. He trains hard. He has good people around him, but skill for skill, I don't really think he's that good. I'm sorry, dude. And he looks a lot bigger. He looked a lot bigger than Robert Whittaker, just his size. Yeah, like a different weight class. Maybe we should let Paulo go up to 205. Maybe that'll unleash some of his best attributes. I'm not sure. It was a good fight. I liked it. I saw some people poo-pooing it, and I didn't really agree with that.
No, I didn't agree with that at all. I thought it was a good fight.
I mean, a middleweight landing 95 strikes in a 3-round fight, that's pretty impressive. I don't know, especially given what happened. He got buzzed with that spinning head kick in the first round, like you said, the spinning wheel kick. And his nose got busted up from the jabs and just, a bigger guy hitting him. And he was able to go through it. His face looked bad, but he fought fucking awesome. So, yeah, I mean, big win for Robert Whittaker. He's still around. He's still hanging around. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, good for him, man. That was a good kind of bounce back thing. And honestly, I'd like to see him fight Strickland next. If they're not going to give Strickland his rematch against DDP, which I understand he is not really necessarily deserving of it. I don't know if it's on me to say who's deserving and who's not, but I would probably do like a Whittaker Strickland, at some point during the summer if that's something that Whittaker would be interested in. I don't know. I think they're going to do Adesanya and DDP. I feel like that Adesanya is reawakened now, so he doesn't have to fight Strickland and get made fun of again. So he could rather fight DDP and use racial slurs towards him and probably make him uncomfortable. So that's probably the best move. So it is a good win for Rob, and I would like to apologize to the Reaper. I know he probably listened to the pod, and I motivated him to go out there and perform the way he did. So good win.
Shout out to you, dude. Shout
out to me, man. We're getting shit done here, but I'm getting shit done in the opposite direction. I am glad for this next one that we made the decision that we did and didn't let our heart get in the way, because this Ian Gary Jeff Neal fight, I don't care what Dana says or what they all like. This fight was boring as fuck. Let me just say that, okay? And this is Ian Gary, okay? This is the way Ian Gary fights. He is boring. He is a point fighter. And in a sense, I was kind of right, and I could see this looking like that Wonder Boy fight, but at least Wonder Boy's a little bit more active, and I've always found him to be, but he kind of sometimes finds himself.
He's less than.
Yeah.
a less version of Wonder Boy. I think that's
Do
actually
you-
really good.
Can you understand why Derek clearly had Derek clearly had 2 rounds for Jeff Neal in those first 2 rounds?
No, the first one I could see.
Yeah.
That's it. And even then, I don't even know if I would give the first to. I feel like Felicia O, whoever that is. I feel like she and Sal D'Amato had a best. I was like, I saw when they first announced the first 30-27. Frank Trigg had this like weird look on his face, and I was like,
Shout out Frank.
Did you expect Jeff Neal to win? Because
Yeah.
I definitely didn't. I thought Jeff Neal might have won the first round, but at the end of the first round, Gary started to finally pick up the pace. He threw that one knee and then the right hook that landed. That might have been the best combo, the best shots of the round. Honestly, I thought he might have won all 3 rounds. Jeff Neal just didn't do much.
Yeah.
He actually mixed up a little bit this fight to the head and to the body, or to the body and to the legs, but it didn't matter. Ian Gary had the front kicks.
Just the length, man.
I thought we'd see more stick and move. He was kind of just stick and move and move and move and move.
Yeah.
So that it was a weight class down from the co-main, and there was much less activity. And people were saying the Whitaker Costa fight wasn't great. This fight wasn't great. The fuck, So, not impressed at all. The only time I was happy was when they immediately panned for Layla Machado after they announced Ian Gary as the winner. That's the only time I was like, oh, sick, nice. I'm tuned in. Other than that, I could not care less.
Yeah.
We'll see who he gets next. Like, he needs a big step up now. It's time. He's what, 27, 28? Like, Jeff Neal's yeah, right. No more babying him. This is welterweight. Welterweight's not that deep, man. Give him a top 5, top 10 opponent, and let's get on with it.
I truly would love to see him fight Wonderboy. I know that's kind of a he's old, and that's I don't know if that's really the matchup we want to see, but that would be awesome. I mean, he called out Colby. I think there's only one reason that he really called out Colby was because Colby is the biggest heel in the division, and I don't think Ian wants to be heel as a bad guy for the record. That's a good old wrestling term for the boys out there who are WWE fans. Ian does not like being this disliked guy. You can tell when he was up on the press conference, people are booing the shit out of him. And I don't think I think he thinks what he's doing is honorable and he should be a likable guy. He has he's so detached from reality and doesn't realize the shit that he says comes off as him being an arrogant fucking douchebag. And he that's why he gets the hate that he does, but I don't think he wants to be hated. So I think in his mind, the easiest way to not be hated is to go after Covington and Trump. And you see, he was on the Hawani show, shitting on Trump and Covington today, which is okay, but nobody really wants to see Colby Covington fight in general, and they after Saturday night they don't want to see you fight either. So I don't know if the excitement level would be there for that fight. It would be a big step up, and I think that would be a good matchup. But you're not going to see your Ian Gary calling out Shavkat Rachmanov or Gilbert Burns or any of those kind of names. You're just not going to hear it. So. But he's in the top 10 now, so he can't run. He can't go backwards.
No.
It's now, you're right, it's time. Whether it's in the summer or whatever it is, Ian Gary's next fight needs to be a big one.
Yeah, and I'd rather much rather be like Jack Della or Sean Brady rather than Vicente Luque or Wonderboy, because two older guys. Fuck that. I want him to get somebody in their prime, maybe somebody that's a different look, right? Somebody who can wrestle and grapple like a monster, like Sean Brady, or a better striker, a boxer, a technical boxer like Jack Della. I would love that. Fuck fighting these guys that are on their way out. So we'll see. I'm sure they're going to try to be touch and go with him. He's undefeated. He's Irish. This and that. I'm not buying all the stock at all on Ian Gary. I do acknowledge that he is talented. I think he can still make developments and improvements, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the fight-to-fight improvements really. I don't think he's regressed, but I just think he's kind of plateaued a little bit. Maybe he's just kind of okay with the guy he is right now, but it's definitely not a top 5 guy. It's definitely not a title contender. I kind of made a joke about how welterweight's not that deep, but in the top 5, man, you got Leon as a champ, Usman, Bilal, Shavkat, Gilbert Burns, Colby, and right after Colby is Sean Brady. So that's tough, man. Those are all tough nights at the office, no matter who you are, especially if you're somebody like Ian Gary, who I think again is a little overrated or overhyped.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the right way to say it, overhyped, because and it's not even, I don't even think it's from anyone but him, really. That's the thing. Ian Gary, that's the thing. You don't want to sound like such a hater. You're right. Like, I do acknowledge that he is talented. He does have, good striking, and he's good at managing. Right. It's just the way he fights is not entertaining, and I don't think that he's really fought anyone that could really push him. Make him back. I mean, but we've seen like lesser skill level hurt him. So that's what it is like when you watch it. You're like, somebody's gonna do it at some point. Like, he was picked. Like, that's why I think the big thing is when people turn on him is when he started picking on Jeff Neal for no reason. Like, Jeff Neal, dangerous guy, but he's a nice guy. I don't think he's ever really been talking shit to it. Like,
this he wasn't even mad about it. Like, there wasn't even like that much animosity building up to the fight.
And that's why I was disappointed in. That's why I wanted him to be like, yo, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. But I guess that's just not how it's not the kind of guy he is. And I guess you can't change who you are. But I mean, good win for Ian Gary. We need to step up though. We need to step up in competition. So how about this one? Merab Dvalishvili, man, took care of business. Unanimous decision victory over Henry Cejudo. Henry calls it quits in the octagon after they do not give him the mic. They said, get the fuck out of here, dude. You got to go. Henry won the first round, though, on all three scorecards, which I thought was the right call. I thought he looked good. I thought we were in business there. But then I saw something online that he might have broke his forearm or something like that, but it didn't really matter. It's just kind of the typical case of, this old guys who bodies break down the longer they're in the game and the longer that kind of this shit kind of seems to happen. So how about your boy Merab, carrying him around the octagon like a child, putting him in a headlock, taking him down whenever he really wanted to. It just seemed like
talking shit to Zuck.
Yeah, the game has passed by Henry, and they're taking those 3 years off, trying to get that paycheck that he was trying to get when he was the double champ was probably a mistake. So it's unfortunate. I don't like when guys walk away when they still have game left. That's why I was still mad at Habib when he did it, but I understand why they do it. It's not easy to get up and fight in a cage for a living. So how about what were your thoughts on Merab?
Also, how about Cejudo only making $150K for this fight? He probably walks away with $60K, and he's deep in his career, and he's accomplished so much. It's like, yeah, do you really want to keep doing this? Do you really want to,
No.
only get that much to fight these fights? Somebody like Merab, who just is going to pick you up and carry you around the ring like you're not an Olympic gold medalist freestyle wrestler. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Merab is just Georgians are just built differently, man. Ilia Topuria, fully Georgian. Merab, Georgian. They're absolute insane, just insane, and they're just strong as fucking iron. Like, I don't know, man. I have a hard time picking against Merab against Sean O'Malley. Now, if he stays, the problem is Merab is very easy. His striking defense is not good, or he's there to be hit, very, very there to be hit. Sean O'Malley hit some dude. I don't know if he's going to be able to recover. Like, Sean O'Malley is quick twitch, very good athlete. His jiu-jitsu and wrestling has come a long way. He works on it all the time. Like, I think Sean O'Malley would hurt him, but if he's able to get a hold of Sean's not getting up, I don't think, or it's going to be.
He's just going to gas him out eventually. I think he'd be able to get back up, but it's more of just the dragging him into those deep waters that I think will eventually add up.
So that's what I worry about. Merab is what, 32, 33, I think. So he's won 10 in a row. I think he's third all time in takedowns landed, which is crazy. He has, I think, the longest bantamweight win streak ever now. He's beaten 3 former UFC champions. He's getting the next title shot for sure. And I think it's time to take notice. I think he's kind of been, ignored a little bit. And part of that from me, I've kind of been a little critic of him just because some of his fights are boring and his style, at least at one point, was boring and this and that. But there's no denying him now, man. Doing that to Henry Cejudo after what he did to Petr Yan, after what he did to Jose Aldo. Very, very impressive. Also, you can hit him, you can hurt him, you can wobble him, but he will not die. We saw that against Marlon Moraes. Like, that was a brutal, brutal beating he was getting put on him, and he just overcame it, dude. Relentless, absolutely relentless. Heart of a fucking warrior, heart of a champion. And we'll see how that goes, man. If he gets Cheeto Vera, he's gonna smoke him. But if he gets Sean O'Malley, I'm not going to say it's a coin flip, but I could definitely see it being minus 150 for Sean. Like that wrestling 100%. Threat is very, very real. But man, there would be a lot of shit talking. I don't know how great it would be, like the language barrier, but Merab's still pretty funny.
Him pulling the
try to
Mexican
redeem.
flag out at the press conference. That shit was so funny.
Yeah, he's goofy, dude. He's very goofy. I love it. But
I love him
I'm
though.
here
I
for
think
that.
he's funny.
I'm here for that fight.
Like I think he's a good guy. I think the reason, like you said, that he kind of got forgotten about or overlooked was he kind of took himself out of the title conversation when Aljo was the champion. No one actually, you know, we weren't allowed to take him seriously because he wasn't gonna. He was kind of just gonna beat everyone's, you know, like everyone on the way up and stop them from getting a rematch or being in the title conversation. So now that Aljo's out of the way, it's kind of like, oh wow, like we can take him seriously now, and he's. I guess not as seriously. It kind of sounds like rude, like we never took it. It's like we can take him as a serious title threat now because he is going to fight for the title next. And hey, you know I'm a huge O'Malley fan. Love the guy. I just worry that he's going to have no problem really pushing O'Malley backwards up against that fence and getting him down. But I imagine O'Malley would be ready to go for that fight, even if that were to happen, because O'Malley's got a stiff test in Cheeto Vera, you know, next month. So. Well, I guess we'll have plenty of time to take consideration of that and look into that. I think this is the great thing about all these fights happening now is that they're just kind of setting up fights for later on in the year, and we'll have kind of stuff to look forward to into the horizon. So, good win for Merab.
Merab is third all-time in takedowns landed in UFC. He has 79, passing Clay Guida, who had 78. Wow. Do you know who's first or second?
First or second?
One is a household name all time. Takedowns landed. Not Khabib, but
DC.
DC. No, it's GSP.
Oh, okay.
He has 90. Number 2 is Gleason Tebow with 84.
Wow.
So Merab is only 5 away from Tebow, only 11 away from tying GSP. I have to imagine 12 takedowns in the next, I don't know, 1, 2 fights. I think he's going to get that. He's probably going to smash that. If he fights for like 5, 6, 7 more fights, he's definitely going to have like 100-200 takedowns landed. So he's quickly approaching all-time history. Merab Dvalishvili is also great, nice little hat that he's got on. Dead animal, probably. He killed himself. Very terrifying. Also stole Sean O'Malley's jacket that one time. So
funny.
You never know what you're getting from Merab. You truly never do.
I did want to make mention. I forgot to mention at the top of the show, but Ty went plus 9 units. I don't know if I did mention it, but plus 10 units basically this week. So this man deserves all the credit in the world. I went down -4 units, so that's why I'm over here. I'm going to start taking Ty's picks as opposed to mine next week to see. No, you know what Ty's due for a down week. I guess that's a fade Ty week next week. We'll say, but we will see what he's got on the card. How about Anthony Fluffy Hernandez with the rear naked choke submission in that second round against Roman Kopylov? It seemed like it was only once the fight kind of started to settle in here, Ty, that it was only a matter of time before Fluffy was going to get him to the ground and have his way with him, and it kind of went that way. Once Roman gave his back up, we kind of talked. I mean, I should have just took the sub. I was too scared that he was going to land all them strikes on the ground, but he really was just sub hunting. And early on, he was like he had him in like half control. He was going for the arm. It kind of gave me like flashbacks to that Josh Frem fight and all that, and I was just like, oh no, this is not going to happen. And then eventually he got took care of business. So that is an easy dub. Excuse me, for Anthony Hernandez. Just you were right on with the sub, man. What was going on with you this week, dude? You were all on these picks, these plus 200s and up. I think you hit like 3 of them. What's going on, dude?
What's going on with what? It was kind of cutting out.
No, that you were on sub. This sub, that sub, all sorts of different TKO bets. You were hitting them all plus 200 and above. What's going on?
I know.
There?
I wish I parlayed these props.
I know.
What the fuck is wrong? It was such a missed opportunity for me to actually win, some life-changing money, at least for the present. No, I just thought by the time he worked his game in, Kopylov just wasn't going to be able to take it. Like, his takedown defense was good, dude. Fluffy was 3 of 14, but when he got that third one, it changed. He got to the ground, and then once he got his back, dude, it was curtains. He started smiling and nodding like a maniac. Yeah. When he knew, now it's him, motherfucker. I loved it. I bet him. I told my roommate, who was pretty tuned up at the time, it was his birthday at 12 o'clock that night. So he was getting ready. I'm like, all right, you got to bet Fluffy. He's like, all right, where's where's Ferry at? I'm like, no, it's Fluffy, not Ferry. And then he's like, where's Fluffy?
It's under Hernandez.
Ferry Hernandez. I'm like, dude, he's coming out. I promise. He's like, wait, what the fuck's his actual real name? I need to bet on him. I'm like, dude, it's Anthony Hernandez. Just bet on him by sub. I got you. Trust me, I'm not lying. And we were excited, dude. I had to go let my one friend in the elevator or in the apartment. So then I ran up. As soon as I got into the back into my room, I saw him. He had it in. I'm like, oh man, dude, we're good. We're good. And he kept getting out of it. Kopylov fought really well, dude. Everything he does standing, his kicks are fucking lethal, dangerous. But I think Fluffy is starting to work on his game where the striking isn't amazing. It's not beautiful. It's not dynamic, but it kind of works. He works it into his wrestling. He backs guys up. And once you get backed up against the cage against somebody like him, dude, that's tough. That is almost damn near impossible. You better hope there's not that much time left in the round, or else you're probably going to be in for a long ride on the ground. And even just against the cage, him just grinding on you, that alone is a fight in itself. And like I said, he's starting to throw that right hand kind of, he did okay with the striking. Like at range, I think at distance he was outstruck, but only 34-24. He doesn't throw that many kicks. That's what I don't love. He outlanded Kopylov to the head, 28-21. So at least he does pretty well in the clinch. I like that. He's a pretty good fighter, man. I just, I think the ceiling is a little limited, but I could definitely see him making some noise. He's a specialist, and he knows how to get the fight there. His cardio is good. His striking is getting better. He's looking like he's getting in better physical shape.
Yeah.
I liked his walkout. His walkout was good. That was kind of fun. So I'm all in on Fluff, man. I'm all in. We'll see what he does next at middleweight. The division's not that dynamic, right? There's like this waiting game for some new blood, and I think he could. I think he can compete with some guys. I'd love to see him fight Brendan Allen. I think that might be that's a little bit too much for him, but just in general, I feel like that fight. Did he lose to Brendan Allen before? I think he might have. He got choked out by him, right?
I'm pretty sure that did happen.
No,
he beat him.
I just made that up.
He beat him.
Oh, he beat him.
He beat him in LFA. Yeah.
That's right.
I thought I saw that before.
Yeah, I thought so too. But there's so many fights. But I would love for them to run that back. I mean, they've both gotten so much better. Brendan Allen now, using that jab and using that striking. Both are hittable though. Both are very hittable. So we'll see. Maybe RoboCop and Fluffy. How about that? That would be a good fight, man. Whatever we got going forward with Fluffy, I think we're in for a treat.
And that was the main card, ladies and gentlemen. Ty, we keep it moving into the prelim section of the card. Amanda Lemos, Amandinho. A up and down performance here with this one. I thought we were going to get that TKO that I went double whammy on this one, and I thought I was going to get it. And I'll be honest, so who was reffing this one? Was this Beltran? I remember Beltran letting it go a little bit. Yeah. It was the right move. It wound up being the right move because she was still in the fight, but I did not like when she got hit the way she covered her face and was taking a little bit of a beating. But Mackenzie started to get that wrestling going, got the jiu-jitsu going a little bit, but just wasn't really able to do much with it. And it just comes up short again. There's just something with Mackenzie. She's just a little bit lacking in certain departments, and it comes out. And she loses a close decision here because she was right there, and she had mount. Amanda Lemos really is the ultimate nail, or ultimate good, best hammer. Really not a good nail. It just when things start going left, it just looks like really really bad. And she kind of gassed herself out because she tried to kill her a couple times, and right from the rip though, Ty, I could tell she was kind of very scared to go to the ground.
Yeah, right away in the first round because Dern had a little bit. She got a takedown in the first and had some control, but I think the third round is the only round she won. The fact that she almost got killed and then came back from that to win a round is wild. Had a couple reversals. They had some scrambles that were good. It was a pretty decent fight, honestly. I mean, her face is – I don't know what it looks like today, but I can't imagine it looks any better. So, she these are just fights she needs, man. She needs to win some of these breakthrough fights. Her best win being Angela Hill just can't remain for the. I mean, when she lost 3 of her last 4 of her last 6. Yeah, so and in these losses, she's kind of getting beat up bad. She even got outstruck by Tisha Torres. Got smoked by Jan, smoked by Andrade.
Can't have that happen.
I don't know if she got smoked by Lemos, but she lost. She got beat pretty bad in at least a part of that fight. And the Marina Rodriguez fight, same thing. So, yeah, I'm not. She's only 30. So it's not over. She just needs to work on her wrestling. That's really all she needs to do. It sounds kind of simple, but I guess it's not. She gets her offensive wrestling going, and the jiu-jitsu and the ground and pound, speaks for itself. She doesn't really need any help there. I mean, her takedown offense is getting better, 15%, slowly getting better. But yeah, I'm not sure what we do with her, where we go from here, honestly.
Yeah, no, it seems like she's just gonna keep hanging out and treading water at the lower. What is she? What was she ranked here? 7. Yeah, so she's gonna be in that lower half of the top 15, I think, just bouncing back and forth and trying to figure out who she can beat and who she can't. Because like a lot of the girls underneath her, I think she would handle them, but. Mackenzie Dern is the kind of girl that on a certain night things could either go her way or not. Like it's really not a trustworthy game that she has, and the hands have gotten better, but nobody really respects them all that much. At least Amanda kind of did though. Amanda really was very defensive in this fight for a long time, and then. I don't know. I left this fight feeling worse about Amanda Lemos than I did going in. So, that was that. How about Marcos Rogerio, Mr. Clean de Lima, gets a leg kick TKO victory over Junior Toff, who stepped in for his brother who missed weight, or no, not missed weight. He had an ankle injury, broke his leg, or something crazy happened right before this, which I don't know how that happens the fight week, but. Hey, what are you gonna do? Junior steps in and he gets his leg kicked off for his troubles. I thought I was gonna get that sub in the first round, man. I really thought I was. He had him down. He was kind of hunting it, but Tafa was just doing a good job of defending himself. And Rogerio de Lima doesn't really have the best grappling game, most vicious grappling game in all of heavyweight or even in UFC. And they got back up, and you could just tell those leg kicks were hurting Junior Tafa. And that was that.
Yeah, he landed 12 of them. Of his total, 33 significant strikes.
For a big guy, real skinny calves. I'll just say that, too, as well. It was something I noticed when he was getting his leg kicked off. But
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that because of the kickboxing background. But Rogerio de Lima, who had some loose change, if you will, looked pretty good, honestly. He got the dub, and he got the finish. Yeah, I was a little surprised and upset he didn't get a sub, but I didn't decide the distance, so, our bases covered there. And, I feel bad for Junior, but, good on him to step up in an hour notice for his brother, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, this doesn't he'll be back for sure. I don't, rate him that highly, but he'll definitely be back against, whatever Harry Hunsucker of the world is going to be in the UFC by then. Maybe Jamal Pogues or Thomas
maybe
Peterson
Usman has another brother that we haven't heard of that he can fight. Who knows? How about Rinya Nakamura, Japanese Conor? This fight was a snooze fest. As a minus 1,400 favorite, he really never came close to finishing this fight. Carlos Vera turned into Ryan Hall in the middle of this fight as well, just trying to heel hook and do this and that. Nakamura is one of those guys, though. He doesn't really go for the finish. So I guess I have to stop looking for him to bet. I think if he's going to be matched up against guys like this, just a real stay away, or I guess bet the points, but that's a dangerous game too because, Vera I'm pretty sure Vera had popped his shoulder out at one point because he was wincing every time they were grappling and he still couldn't get him out of there. Nakamura really never went for it. That was my thoughts watching it, and he kind of was cool with having a little bit of a wrestle grappling fest with him. And this looked like one of those Cage Fury grappling events in there with a little bit of punching. So good win for Nakamura, but we're going to need a big step up. I don't want to see minus 1,400 on the board anymore.
Yeah, well, Carlos Vera shouldn't be in the UFC. He shouldn't have been in this fight.
It's true.
When you get bad fighters, sometimes you get bad fights. So real quick, there was a 10-8 in the first round for Rogerio de Lima from one of the judges. I was surprised by that.
That's shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, he tried. He got a couple takedowns. He had 13 minutes of control time for a 15-minute fight. And Vera has that. You can tell he trains with Ryan Hall by how he fights. And Nakamura couldn't get anything going, at least close to a finish. And then at distance, they didn't really strike much. He was 7 of 9. Vera was 6 of 15 at distance. So snooze fest, like you said.
How about Minyoung Zhang? This guy, I mean, basically the first time I'm seeing him, faded him big time. These guys were throwing hammers, though, so I can't. Compared to the Nakamura fight, this was the greatest fight of all time. Zhang was taking some shots early. Ribeiro is kind of just a kill or be killed sort of guy, and he got killed. He got hit with a straight punch right down the middle, ended it with his head getting dribbled off the canvas, and you cash out that under half a round, which is an insane bet. But cash it out, Ty.
Yeah, I was a little surprised too, but that's just how these two fight. I mean, one's the mountain tiger, one's the gorilla, so somebody's going down.
Yeah.
And, man, I really thought Ribeiro was going to put Zhang down, but he got caught first, so that's pretty much how I thought this fight was going to go. Whoever gets hit hard first is cooked. And
Zhang was taking some good shots, though. You saw his nose is a little busted up, but yeah, like you said, it was just kind of one hitter quitter when the time actually came. With a real shot, they went down.
And Ribeiro was just headhunting. That's all he did. He didn't get any kicks or anything. I was like, all right, and then just bang, Zhang, I guess you could say. Yeah, I guess whenever these guys fight again, it's going to be more of the same, I would assume. What are they fighting at? Light heavyweight, right? So anything can happen. Get one of them in there against Volter.
It's almost time for Volter. I wonder when that's ever. Maybe he'll never fight. Who knows? Maybe we were lied to. But I always keep up on Volter Walker to see what the updates are and what the news is.
He's still
the clean monster.
He's still scheduled to fight Lucas Brzeski April 6th.
Yeah, the week before Vittori Allen is the main event that night. Oh boy, that's all right. We can take a nap during that.
Damon Jackson.
Yeah, that one's not. good.
Jermaine Durandamy, Norman Dumas. This
wow. Okay, that's a
Melissa
really bad
Tanya
fight.
Mullins. I don't even know who that is.
All right, let's not waste our time. We'll have to spend a whole hour talking about that one day. But how about Danny Barlow? Danny Barlow breaking onto the scene here with a not a flash, I would say, just a fucking domination of Josh Quinlan. Really, striking looked really good. I don't know if it's the most technical or things of that, but I don't know. Like Barlow, he reminds me of or at least gave the aura of a guy who he's gonna be here for a while. He wasn't just a kind of. I don't know the best way to say it. Not just like a regular prospect. He reminds me of a guy who's going to be a staple in the UFC, in this prelim fight night kind of territory or talk for a little bit. This guy had some serious skill. Absolutely spamming flying knees. I think Rogan even said it at one point, was like, I've never seen a guy throw more flying knees than he is. But that just goes to show you how physically fit this guy is, and he never got tired. He was beating the shit out of Quinlan, and I have to say, I can't lie to the people out there. Herzog, I don't know what you were doing here, to be honest. I think you forgot you were reffing the fight, and you were letting that man get his head dribbled off the canvas multiple times. I think he got knocked down like 3 or 4 times in that third round befall Herzog eventually grabbed him and was like, then that makes no sense because this guy was stumbling all around the octagon, which. I'll just say maybe it was a bad fight for Herzog because he did good all other areas, but just the rough one here. But good win for Mr. Barlow.
Yeah, the cardio, the fact that he was able to carry his power into the later rounds. He doesn't go deep in the fights ever, so he's relatively. I think he's 28, and he's only 6-0, 8-0. So he's very inexperienced. We're gonna see him get better fight to fight.
Yeah,
and also he's definitely going to take an L. I mean, he's a month younger than me. That's crazy. He looks like a scared guy. He's got to cut that, whatever that is, rat tail in the back of his head.
Yeah, didn't like that.
Didn't like it. But yeah, I mean, Josh Quinlan, he's not on the juice anymore, but he's still tough. Tough as hell, honestly. And the fact that he did get him out of there that deep, that late into the fight, pretty impressive, honestly. I know his accuracy was not great until the third round. Actually, no, it was pretty good. 50, 45, 64% each round. So
he's active, man.
Yeah, very active, very good athlete he is. So yeah, and this is at welterweight. Maybe he's got one of the longest reaches in the division. Maybe we can set up him and Ian Gary. Now, I do like some of the things he has. I want to see more of the jab. I want to see more leg kicks. But man, he just smoked Josh Quinlan at distance, 88-39, 77-22 to the head. And
he looked good.
Chasing him around. It looked like he dropped him with like a hammer fist, like a straight left hammer fist, the way it came in. And then from there, I mean, Quinlan's face was a mess.
Yeah.
So
see him bleeding all over Herzog when he eventually did stop it. It was like, this is wild. But,
yeah, you could have stepped in a little earlier, Jason, if you didn't want anybody to bleed on you. But he's tough. He's a savage, and Danny Barlow is as well.
He was supposed to fight Kinoshita on this one, who was killed twice in the UFC already. So that's I guess they did. They did everyone a favor there by not having Mr. Kinoshita get sent out as a sacrificial lamb. How about Oban Elliott? This fight was pretty crazy. It was pretty good for a second fight of the night sort of situation. Val Woodburn, your boy, he got crushed with a head kick early on in the fight. No reaction whatsoever, and then just blitzed Oban Elliott and had him on skates and was almost about to finish it, but Elliott survives and then starts getting the wrestling going and the takedowns and had his back for large portions of this fight. Just really couldn't get that. I had the submission here in my private life. I just he couldn't really get that going. He really didn't even come all that close to finishing it. And but this is a good win for Mr. Elliott just to kind of break onto the scene a little bit. And you know, these wins on these, what's it called? These like UFC, these pay-per-view prelims, you know, I think they do matter. A lot more people are watching these fights than they would normally, like the regular fight nights and things. So it's a good win for Oban Elliott.
Yeah, the same judge who gave 10-8 for Rogerio de Lima in round 1 gave Val Woodburn in the first round, which I get. He knocked him down and hit with that hard shot like that. He got outstruck 51-5 in the first
it really
round.
Wasn't that close.
He got control for 4 minutes of the round. Like, I don't know, man. I don't necessarily agree with that. Mr. Elliott Kelly, keep an eye on him for making bad scorecards going forward. But yeah, I think we're gonna fade Elliott in the future. I don't think his striking is good. I do like his ground game. I think he's tough. I think he's a dog, but I don't know. I'm not all the way there on him yet. But and Val Woodburn, obviously, I don't think he should really be. I think he's a regional scene guy. He has a lot of power, but that's really it. So it's gonna be tough for him to get some dubs.
It will be tough for him to get some dubs. I'm just reading an article right here. I'm sorry, but yeah. Listen, Val Woodburn probably not. I mean, we kind of said this after he got knocked out by Bo Nickel. Not exactly on the UFC level. So hopefully we see his name pop up on the roster
somewhere
tracker.
Else, yeah. UFC or something.
Yeah, no, and honestly, for his own good, because you don't need to be getting beat up in these fucking things. I don't think he's necessarily trash, but I just don't think he's ready for the UFC level. How about Miranda Maverick? This one was tough, Ty. We had Andrea Lee in this one. She just never really was able to get it going. Miranda Maverick's striking looked good, and she just did enough to take the W here.
Yeah, dude. She actually, she started throwing. She's been throwing strikes that were landing. Her kicks were good. Her left was good. She looked a lot better than she usually has against a pretty tough opponent. Now, usually her landing percentage is I don't know, in the 30s, 40s, 48% in this fight of significant strikes. 3 of 8 on the takedown. She got taken down a couple times, but they were able to kind of scramble around. And pretty good volume, honestly, from her. Outlanded her to the head, went to the leg a lot. Yeah. Very good leg kicks. That's something she's always been good at. And just an important win, really, for her to keep it rolling. I'm trying to look at her schedule, her resume. I guess she's 13-5 now, and 2 in a row since that Jasmine kind of humbling where she just got beat all around. She couldn't get the takedown and kind of looked like she had no plan B. In this fight, she showed more well-roundedness, I think. Andrea Lee definitely on her way out. You can tell she's kind of just.
It didn't really look like she wanted to be there, to be honest.
Yeah, her skills are. Every time she got hit, like with the left, she just didn't like it. I'm like, Miranda Maverick isn't hitting that hard, but she's getting older. Her skills are deteriorating. She's getting slower. So, yeah, pretty good win for Miranda. Fear the Maverick. I guess she's at Elevation Fight Team now, which is pretty good for her. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, she's only 26, I think, which is kind of surprising, having 9 UFC fights. We'll see what's next.
So Topuria gets $50,000 for performance of the night. I'd say that's a worthy $50K. Fluffy gets $50K. for his submission over Roman Kopylov. He had 50,000 going to Mackenzie Dern and Lemos for fight of the night. I guess this was really not a good night then, because if that was the fight of the night, then it was all right. It just really wasn't. And Zhang getting 50K for his elimination of Brinson Ribeiro. So there it is, UFC 298, ladies and gentlemen. It was a quality night. I wouldn't say the overall card itself was really that great, but I would say that the fights or the big time fights up top gave us what we wanted for the most part, at least answers to the questions that we had. And there was some boxing this past weekend. I was able to catch the Oshaki Foster fight, which they had it on at the local watering hole. I did watch that. I watched Bruce Carrington eliminate that guy. I watched the little guy before him knock out that Slender Man that was fighting in the co-main. So, or not even knock him out. He kept going in between the ropes, and then the commission came in and was like, "Yo, they called the fight. They threw the towel in." So.
Andres Cortez, he looked good against Chevalier. Somebody to keep an eye on. He was supposed to fight Freddie Fonseca, so we'll see what he's got going for. He's also at 130. Bruce Carrington at 126. So Shockey Foster probably can't make 130 anymore. He didn't look as good as I wish he did. It went to a split. I didn't agree with the split. I thought he did win. Did win the fight fairly. Abraham Nova, I don't love the beard, the dyed beard.
And the mascot.
Yeah.
Never seen that before funny in my life. He had his own mascot for the fight. I mean, and he was shadowboxing in the locker room, and then they kept showing him. And the girls at the bar are like, "What the fuck is that?" They were literally like pointing at the screen. I'm like, "Oh, you don't like Supernova?" They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Never mind. It's his mascot." They're like, "He has his own mascot." Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. I'm not sure why, but Oshaki probably moving up to 135, where it's starting to get crowded in the 135, 140 pound division. So we'll see what he does next. He looked okay. I wish I got a little bit more out of him, but Friday night fight, good win, and there's some good prospects on the undercard, which is always a good thing. Shushu Carrington, yeah, for sure, definitely needs to take the next step at 126, maybe 130 if he wants to move up.
He crushed that guy.
Yeah,
he really did, man.
And get a nice little title shot. So I guess anybody, I don't know who, but.
Starting to gain a little bit of, or get a little bit of love for boxing, Ty. And from doing this pod, I've been, now when you say those fights, I sit there and I'm like, oh, wait, that fight's on, and I flip it on just to see what's going on. I'm trying to get myself more invested in the old boxer, so that when they do have these big fights, I'm like, wow, I've been watching this guy for fucking 5 years or whatever. So
yeah, that's how Triple G was always on the undercard. We're like, oh, who's this guy?
And I loved him. Yeah, I loved him. So just a good weekend. I would say a good, solid, quality weekend of fights. We'll have another weekend next week. We are going to Mexico, Ty, to celebrate something. I don't know what we're celebrating, but we're just celebrating Mexican just life, culture, style, everything. Brandon Moreno against Brandon Royval. Battle of the Brandons. The Brandon Championship of the world. Brandon. Well, yeah, some people probably just got fired up when you said that. Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, Daniel Zellhuber getting in there, and Francisco Prado. That's a fucking firefight. Your boy is getting in there, Raul Rosas against my boy Ricky Tercios. Can't wait. Yasmin Urigi bouncing back after she got assaulted in 1 minute against the Sandpage. Holy smokes. We have a fucking night of fights that we are going to have every single pick, bet, prediction, information that you could possibly imagine next week on this next episode of the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast. Even the Hillman will be there. Muhammad Naimov
starting the card.
That's going to be fucking wild. So
there's 4 Mexico versus Brazil fights, so that should be something. Yair Rodriguez has been talking a lot about Topuria. I would love to see Topuria put him out bad. He deserves it. And but let's see if we can get past Ortega, honestly. The Zellhuber Prado fight I'm going to be looking for. Hopefully it stays standing a lot, but yeah, we'll see.
It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. We will have a full show later on this week to break down everything you need to know. So until then, this is the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast. My name is Matt McSweeney.
I am Ty Capone.
And as always, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to read the newspaper, read up on local and current events, and do absolutely nothing about it.